Hi everyone. For those who doesn't know, my name is Bhakti Vijay Trivikram. I'm from Brazil, and I'm here with you tonight for to talk about Krishna consciousness. And if there is any question from you, if you want to ask something about my life or about whatever subject you want to know in Krishna consciousness, if I can be of any help.
Okay, the first question is, you have mentioned the first time you have came to the mission, it was all about the heart and people, and now it's still in such a way. Can you give some advice for the newcomers? Which principle to follow, or maybe which principles to follow? And what was the most important principle in your practice?
Yeah, when I joined, I was very young. I was 21. Like one comedian, how he said, I still had hair and teeth at that time. Well, I still have, but I was very young boy, and I had some attraction for the hippie revolution. I wasn't born. I wasn't part of the hippie revolution, but I had some attraction then. When Krishna consciousness came to my life through the books and through some devotees, I really had some appreciation for the one call. Is that right to say? One call was simple living, high thinking. That was very attractive for me. And when I went to live in the temple, when I started participating on the temple, I saw something very unique, and that was service. And it doesn't matter what service you were doing. And that was beautiful. That was very tasty for me. I had some taste for that, like you. It doesn't matter if you're an engineer, if you are a poor guy, and you come from the streets, whatever background you have, you just join for service. And with that, we had that intense mood and motivation, like peeling potatoes, big festivals, everybody working, as I see you are doing here, as I see Srila Vaduta Maharaj's mood and his group, and all the Russian mission, we can feel that mood, like serving. It doesn't matter which service comes to you, and that was very, very sweet. And if you join a spiritual movement with the idea of serving, then you have some nice ground. If you understand, my English is very poor. I hope you understand when I express myself. Yeah, but that's how I felt. It's all about service, serving people, serving, and we serving. Mainly who we are serving. We are serving our Guru Varga. We have to understand that's the connection. There is no connection. This is not some institution that you climb to have a position. I'm climbing, I'm doing my politics, I'm doing this or that, or I'm becoming a scholar because I want some position. You can get, and Srila Govinda Maharaj, he used to say that, if you want position, I can give, but I won't give bhakti. Then to be well established as much as you can according to your capacity, I think you should do everything for service. You give a class for service, you become the temple president for service, you become a driver for service, you can clean the drains of the temple for service. Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj did that, and we all heard from him personally. He said he used to clean the drains, and he was the highest example of that kind of service mentality. He is the real servitor. Sometimes going to India, I would think we cannot serve him. He gave even toilets, he was concerned about our lifestyle, and he made Western toilets for us. So how could we think we can serve him? But the attitude is going to count. Indeed, we cannot serve them. They are very high servitors. They are supplying everything, but they are capturing your heart, if you have that mood. And they have the example. It's like your grandfather can be the owner of a caramel factory, and you go there, you grab some and you offer it to him. You know, he doesn't need, but he'll get your heart. Then the safest position is, I think so, is service. You know, always serving. And also, you know, we have so much information is helpful in our books. Gurudev said we need a solid foundation. That I saw with some experience. It's a very small experience, but I saw something in life. Then some people, if they are too greedy to go fast and, you know, to go high, they forget about, you know, working the foundation. And foundation means foundation. You have to make the house, you know, over some solid foundation. And in spiritual life, you can dream you are building something, but you are not. It's just a dream. It's just a mental concoction. And the first steps, you know, the first grade, second grade, we have to proceed with. In my opinion, for my life, I always prefer to think and to be on the first grades. I mean, you know, shlokas, simple shlokas that maybe someone can neglect from Bhagavad Gita, saying, you know, you have to tolerate, you know, this and that, and proceed with your service life. And there are a few shlokas. Those shlokas are saving me forever. I learned them almost 30 years ago. They still with me. So foundation is very important. Then going too greedy to higher subjects, to higher levels. It will come for you according to necessity of service. That's how I understood.
The second question is, how old is your Brazilian mission? There are some devotees that are the disciples of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and maybe you know how come that they have heard about him, that they found him, that they become his disciples.
Yeah, the mission came to Brazil in 1982, and was that time Sripad Bhaktivilas Parvati Maharaj. Then he became Bhuvana Mohan Prabhu. He got married and he made all the mission there. He was Prabhupada's disciple. He passed away, but we can say he is Prabhupada's disciple. Then he joined Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And the same way he brought Srila Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness in the beginning, then later he brought Srila Sridhar Maharaj to Brazil. And of course we have quite a few devotees, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's disciple. They are not, some of them are very active, still working with us, very humbly, you know, staying around. And we have Panchatattva Prabhu. He's in every program, you know, every place he goes and participates. We have Govinda Mohini Didi, Bhuvana Mohan's wife. Rohini Shakti Didi, she's Srila Sridhar Maharaj's disciple. And a few others is still present. And they came through books and through Bhuvana Mohan's preaching. Bhuvana Mohan in 82, he opened a restaurant called Prema Restaurant. And from Prema Restaurant, he had in the backyard, he made, I think it was pretty much this size. He made a stage, and he had some lectures and some, I can't say in English when you have a theater or a play, you say play. And from that kind of, that style, he started preaching, and he made many disciples for the mission, and many people started coming. I came later. I came in 91. I started visiting and meeting him at Prema Restaurant. But before, like 10 years before, he was already working.
people living in your ashram in Brazil, who are they? Like, is it mostly brahmacharis or just, like
This is a good question.
regular married people, or more younger people?
All
or
kinds of
older
people.
or is
Local
it kind of
people.
A mixture?
Local people. It's very weird, we don't know who the Lord is going to send. It's like amazing, it's amazing. We are not, when you understand something about, you are not the controller. We cannot control that. You can try to preach to people, but suddenly the same way people, they go away, they leave the ashram for some reason, they get married or they get a job or whatever, another people comes. And it's like perfect for them. Just a few days, a few months, a couple of months or 3 months ago, we had a couple living nearby, and they came to work with my cousin because this was a family's property. So my cousin is in front of us, and he has a Ayurvedic spa in front of us. And this couple came to work with him. Then they started visiting the ashram. Now they're living in my house, and they got initiated, and they're sweet people, Nanda Kumar and Kalindi. So they are married. They are like 35, 40 years old. We have Ambarisha, he's a helicopter pilot. Malati, she lives in the town. You met Malati, huh? Yes, Malati Didi. And we have Hari Bhajan. He's the guy, he's the high-tech guy. He knows about editing, everything you do here. He's the guy, he's doing some nice jobs there. My brother lives nearby, and he helps in the management, and Govindanandini. Now I feel it's becoming more stable. And also we have the local people that I consider, because they know me since I was a kid. And I know most of them since they were born. So we are a big family. They are from the mountains. They're very different people, very tough people, hardworking and sweet and funny. And they became devotees. Like, it's so funny that there was a Christian girl, Lucia. She never, she didn't change her religion, but she was like every day going and making the altar, happily bathing and going, to make the flower arrangements and everything. Then she left. And one day I was driving to the town, and she was walking, so I took her in my car, and she told me, I like what I'm doing now, but I miss too much to work in the temple for Mahaprabhu. And now Mahaprabhu became very famous in the area. And it's so sweet because people bring some cheese and they say, this is pure vegetarian for Mahaprabhu. It's changing the whole consciousness of the place. Mahaprabhu is like slowly changing. It's like Srila Govinda Maharaj with his divine plan. The whole environment is changing. And that's what I'm saying, it's all about heart. Some people, they barely know how to read, but they like something there. We have one lady there, I think Bhakti Lalita met her. She's very fanatic Christian, but she loves serving Mahaprabhu. But she says she doesn't like, but we know she likes. So she makes the plate, the offering, but when you offer Mahaprasada, she says, I don't take this food. But she takes hiddenly. And she's so funny. It's very sweet because she, by some reason, she understands there's something there that she likes. And we see like all kinds of things happening. It's it's not in our control. We are just engaged in some service, and we do our best. That's how I understand our service life. You try to do your best, but if you really give up this controlling tendency, and then life is sweeter because you go with the flow. You do the best, but also you understand that it's not in your control. And when you have an ashram in the middle of the jungle, you need to surrender. There is no other way. Like you're in the middle of the jungle, sometimes no people, sometimes cold, cold, really cold. Like in that place is like cold, more cold, unbearably cold. That's the place, Maybe not for you Russians, but for me it's like, I cannot tolerate. It's very, very cold. Sometimes I had to be there alone. Like you're in the middle of nowhere, alone, and doing everything. Working at the office, cooking, and worshiping, like days and days and days. And then, you see like Gurudev managing and proving your endurance. It's a beautiful life.
How do you give the classes in your ashram or in Brazil, in your town, in your city? Do you give them an ashram, or do you kind of arrange some like live stream like here?
Live stream? I wish. I wish we had some connection there. We had a very poor connection. Depends on the winds, on the temperature. We have this 3G modem, and it's very tough because when the winds change, you lose your connection. We have something, but we cannot have this kind of powerful connections. Maybe in some area, in São Paulo, in downtown you can have, but at the ashram is critical. When rains, the electricity, it's like sure, you won't have electricity maybe for 2 hours, 3 hours. One day I was giving class and I was a little excited, like inspired, and I said, if something goes wrong in my life, I go and I move to the woods. Then someone told me, look, you were already living in the woods, what's your problem? You cannot go further, there's nowhere to go. I said, yeah, man, you're right. I was like a little going crazy with something. If something goes wrong, I will live in the jungle. And if I get in this Google Earth, if I show you, you're going to see we live in the jungle. We have like, not every day you see, but it's possible to see. I think it's for English name is leopards. Yeah, leopards, deer, and wild boar. All kinds of animals around.
And those cool Brazilian birds.
Yeah, many birds, yeah.
The ones with nose.
Yeah, tucano. Yeah. So what was the question? I lost a little bit my.
How do you organize the classes?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Is it scheduled?
Yeah, when I feel in the mood. Now I'm giving class in my house because it's too cold in the morning. Then I set the fire. I light the fire. Have some $5 junkyard stove. Then my house is better to have in winter season. My house is better to have class. Then I'm giving class. I read something. I always read something. And then if they have some questions, then I answer the questions according to my capacity. And that's how we do. And I travel. We have some centers. We have now São Paulo. There is some people living in São Paulo. They don't have a everyday program, but they have Saturday in Prema restaurant. We have in South Brazil, in Porto Alegre, and in Ivoti with Rasheswari's house. Bhakti Lalita had been there. We have in Porto Alegre one lady, she's running with a Brahmachari, Parthasarita and Shivanandini. They have a center there. And also other people like Ananga Mohini. And they are always making some preaching movement. And they invite me, I go, I preach. We have Curitiba, South Brazil too. Then we have Uberlândia. I spoke about Uberlândia in the interview, Avaduta Maharaj's interview. We have a center there. We have in Uberlândia. We have a kind of one of my disciples there, Vaishnava Prabhu. a gallery or a mall. It's smaller than a mall. It's not very big, but it has few shops. And he reserved for us one room for our meetings. It's more or less this size, a little smaller than the whole room here. And now in Araraquara, all the Brazilian names, we are building something for the mission. It's already rented, but they're gonna build something proper, and I'm taking Giriraj for that place. So it's a very simple way for preaching. I don't have this capacity of managing all the high technology and all this stuff like Avaduta Maharaj is managing. My ways I'm more simple, so I just talk to people house to house in Amahatas, and from that people, if they want to start something by themselves, I give some help. That's the way we do. And at the ashram, who wants to give class, if someone wants, I'm not giving class every day, I try to. People complain that I don't give it, but I try to give some classes. Rohini gives classes, and whoever is there, get a book and read. Like read Chaitanya Charitamrita as possible.
Could you please tell some stories or your favorite story with Gurudev?
No, we have quite a few. Yeah, for me, the main thing, is not just the stories, but the feelings we got in his presence. That's the main thing, the impressions, I don't know if I express properly. But of course there are many unique things that happen. Mainly, the most important one for me was at the ashram when he was there, but I think I spoke about that when I was with Goswami Maharaj and I think with Avaduta Maharaj also. So what am I going to say? If I try to speak about this now, it's going to be dry. Yeah, it's going to be like I'm going to force myself to speak something.
Did your relations with Gurudev became more gradually?
Became what?
Gradually? More warm, like friends? Like in friends' way, more friendly?
Friendly, warm, affectionate.
No, yes, Gurudev, he's the source of affection, of all affection. He was the source of affection. I had no affection. How can I say I have affection, I have no affection. He had affection. His affection, took my heart in some way. But to say I have affection for him is too high. But I remember things like, being around him. That's why I say, the friends, your gurus, servitors and friends, they are important in your life. Because one day, I love Bhakti Lalita's sense of humor. She's always with her, class, aristocratic. And she turned to me and said, Gurudeva has more than 1 million or millions of moods. He could change like seconds. And if you tried to catch him, that would be a disaster. You could not guess. And they told me that because the tendency is to guess what your guru wants, what is going to be his next movement. You try to guess, then you are in trouble. Because he would change, because he was teaching us. It's impossible. You cannot catch him if you make a cálculo. Like if you try to calculate, you're gonna catch him there. You observe his movements every day, and yes, tomorrow I'm gonna catch him there, and it's gonna be frustration. because He's the Lord Himself presenting in front of you, and He's teaching you. You cannot catch Him. So Mother Jasoda trying to bind Him with the rope, and she couldn't. Just if He wants. And Gurudev was pretty much like that. And sometimes it was scary. Isn't that true? Sometimes it was even scary. You could not understand, how can I be here? I cannot understand what's going on here. The simplest thing in your life, like to switch a button, like, on and off, and you couldn't do. And you just felt pathetic and like an idiot. One day, was the first time I was there, and that was my job. Then became my job. Nobody wanted to turn on the lights and turn off the lights. Nobody wanted that, because that was the biggest trap. Then they gave it to me because I was the new one there. Then I said, oh, this one for that, this one for that, this one for that. And it was written. Everything it was written. And it's not a big deal. We do, more difficult things in life. That, was the panel, and I said, now I know. The very day, the same day, one electrician came, the mystery came and changed something. And I said, I told myself, look at that. He changed. Don't forget. Then Gurudeva came from a lecture, and he was completely exhausted. He was pale. His shirt, his kurta was wet with sweat. Yeah, he was really tired. People holding him. He sat in his chair, and he told me, "Lights off." Then I took one by one. Then one was still on. And I was looking, man. Then I look at him, with that pathetic face, And he looked at me and said, if you cannot switch off a bulb or whatever, why don't you leave Krishna consciousness? Then, the blood went flush to your face and you start sweating. Then I just turn and off. Then what I do now, I was feeling really retarded. Then I just went and paid my dandavats to him. And he was joking with me. And one day also in Vrindavan, I was always scared to be alone with him because I knew he would ask something. Many things, small things. Like one day in Navadvip, I was alone. And I didn't like that situation because Bhakti Lalita, Jamuna, or whoever was around, they knew everything. But I didn't know. I was the bodyguard. The bodyguard is just a big guy who stays there and don't talk. Just keep quiet and stay there. If something wrong happens, you just go and fight. And then one day he told me, in my room, take my bag. Then I said, okay. Then I went to his room. There was thousands of bags. Thousands, the whole room were full of bags. Then I said, man, what I do now? Then I saw his suitcase, the briefcase. The briefcase, but his English was my bag. Then I thought, cannot be, but this one. Then I took, and when I gave to him, I want some, yes, this is my. He just took, and I was like, it was obvious was that one, but many things happen like that. One day he told me, was a difficult of communication. My English, I don't speak nice English, and Gurudeva had a heavy accent. Then he told me, move the big chair. Then I stood up and I went to a big coach, big sofa. I couldn't handle myself alone. And I was trying to move, and the big chair. Then I said, what? Picture. Picture. That was the picture, He wants me to move, and I felt I was moving the whole room. And so many things happen, to make you feel weird. But I never had any action. Maybe one action as a bodyguard.
You got to throw an old
I threw one guy out, and I was happy. That was the highlight of my job. And everybody, thinking, everybody looking at me, like the three boys, they are local people, and they have these ideas about spirituality. But that I had the mood, I can do whatever, I'm not a fighter, but I can kill here. If someone comes to hurt my guru, I'll fight. Then this guy was pago, he was a little crazy. And nobody did anything, I just grabbed him here and I dragged him out. When I was going downstairs, I had my plan. I went to go with him downstairs, and I went to see this, like tung, 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 tung going. I went to see the whole scene. Then they stopped me. No, not to do that, not to do that. Then they were a little embarrassed with Gurudev because they thought, oh, this guy, he doesn't know, he's doing this is wrong. And Gurudev was like an ocean when he doesn't, just quiet. Then he raised his finger like this and said, Trivikram Maharaj is 100% right. Then I told them, you see. That was the only action I had. One day I stopped one man to come nearby him because, regularly Gurudeva didn't like people touching his feet. Then I was protecting. Then I was trying to avoid, to stop one old man. But he was like old Gurudeva's friend. Then Gurudev started beating me with his cane, beating me like, da, da, da. I got some beatings. I think we all did, who were around him. Some.
The plane ticket in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, after 3 months, I started pacing in his room, like walking like a lion in a cage, with my passport in my pocket and my ticket. And everybody knew I was ready to go. That was, it was too much for me, like 3, 4, 5 months I was just living in his room. And it was really tough, really tough. But also I could see so many things like, the sweetest of his side when you're living with him. And then, you can recognize something unique is there. It's, of course, this is personal. Maybe some people, they didn't feel like that, but I saw that he, what he was expressing day to day in his life was something that I never saw in my life with anybody. And I'm sorry, some people, they think I'm not recognizing anybody else, and I'm not. What can I do, he's my guru, and I had that feelings for him. I cannot force myself to have the same feelings I have for my guru, just forcefully, just out of the law. You have some laws it's not possible. This is a heart transaction. And by some special mercy, he gave him some room in his heart. And we had that kind of connection. I don't know what size was the connection, and I'm not here to measure my connection with my guru, but I had something special. And those feelings no one can take from me. And I pretty much think that I pretty much think that Krishna consciousness is all about people and feelings. If you get some feelings for Krishna consciousness, then you proceed because you cannot taste anything else. I'm not saying I'm free from it. I'm full of material desires, but those feelings, they just drag me. They're dragging me. To somewhere I don't know, but they're dragging me. They're, the worst thing for me now is to think I'm going to disappoint my guru, because so much affection, so much. It's not some simple affection. It's something extraordinary. That's why I like to use this word, because it's not in our. You don't see every day in every corner. It's something special. Then I'm afraid to lose that. That's why I try to keep going. But usually I tell my friends, I'm not guru, I don't feel I'm guru, and I have disciples, all this stuff that came into my life. I'm a simple person, and I understood from the scriptures, because my guru told me to do some service, and to assume some responsibility, and just he knows why. I'm not even thinking why he did that, you know. He made me something, he wants to use me in some ways, and I'm trying to fulfill his desires according to my capacity. But also we learn from the scriptures that every person you bring for Krishna consciousness, they are higher than you. You are offering them to your Guru, they belong to your Guru, they are his, they start to be his property, and they become holy. Like, you know, any flower, if you offer to the Lord, then if it drops on the floor, you put in your head. That's the same with people. If you bring them to the lotus feet of your Guru, then I don't consider, you know. Of course, you know, it's a mixture of just intellect and some feelings about that. But I want to grow in this direction. This is safe for me.
In addition to this answer, to your answer, could you please tell how your story, how you've become Maharaj? Why did you decide to do so and to become a Maharaj?
To become sannyasi. Maharaj is another term that when they say Maharaj is... Anyway.
Why did you decide to become
I didn't
sannyasi,
decide.
and how come that you...
I didn't decide. No, you know, I'm not gonna tell everything because this is not so... Anyway, I was moving to east and Gurudev called me to west, if you know what I mean. I was going to one direction and Gurudev told me, no, you are coming to the direction I want. Then he said, I'm suggesting, I'm not giving you some order. But I had the feelings, if your Guru is suggesting you, means that's his order. His suggestion is not different from his order. And it was 2003. And it didn't change anything, you know, I'm still the same guy, just 10 years older. What doesn't make you less sinful or less, you know, or you have less desires? It's the same mind, the same sanskar. But he saved me from going in some direction he didn't want. This is not something to tell everybody, but I'm going to tell, because this was beautiful. I told him, but Gurudev, I have so much desires, you know, how can I be sannyasi and accept this life? And he told me, you decide, you know, as you like. Then you call me back to tell me your decision. I said, okay. Then 1 week later, I had a dream. Gurudev was flying. He was flying in the sky, and with his sikha untied, and he was smiling and he was shining beautifully. His dress was really beautiful and shining. And he came smiling to me, and I came, Gurudev, we are flying, you know, like meeting each other flying. But it's not flying, you know, it's flying. We were in some space. It's blue, and I told him, oh, Gurudev, you don't want me to go into that direction, huh? He said, he did it like this with his head. Then I told him, you want me to take sannyasi? And he gave a big smile and embraced me. Then, what other decision should I, you know, take? I could not avoid, you know. After this dream, I mean, you know, I would live in hell. I mean, I couldn't refuse anymore. Then I had no money, but I knew I had to come to India. And I went to Mahaprabhu, to the temple. I said, Mahaprabhu, my Guru is calling me. I have to go to India, but I have no money. It was the other way around. I had to pay some money for someone. Then I was like praying to Mahaprabhu. Then I went back to the office, one phone call, and one man offering my ticket to India, to sponsor my ticket. Then I came to India, and I'm always full of passion, you know. I can't express in English, but I'm always running after my words, like talking a lot. And Gurudev, I came from Brazil. It's very hard. And Gurudev looking at me saying, yes, Prabhu, I know. Yes, and take sannyasi is very hard. I know, even more being Brazilian. And he knows. Then he told me, but I don't know if I'm giving sannyas to you. Then I was like, oh God. I decided everything to come. And he was playing with me. That was 2002. Then maybe November, December. Then came Gaura Purnima. Then Nandotsava. The day after Gaura Purnima, they call two names, Nandotsava or Jagannatha Mishra Utsava. Anandotsava. Yeah, Anandotsava. Then in Anandotsava, he gave me his blessings for me and for Bhakti Lalita Kinchana Maharaj. That's what I try to tell my friends when we are discussing about Krishna consciousness. We need to get some feelings. The heart, the spiritual movement is some heart transformation. It's not an intellectual transformation. It's a heart transformation. The heart must grow in its feelings. And then, if you have some feelings, maybe if they are small or big, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But if you have some appreciation for the devotees' lives, for the scriptures, even the scriptures, I'm sure you all have this experience. When you are attracted to some shloka, you have some feelings for that shloka, how easy it is to memorize and to have that shloka in your heart. That's what I mean. It's not just a question of show off. Like the last shloka I had many times hearing Bhoktaram Jagatapasan Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Then, by some reason it came to me again. It's so beautiful it is, so beautiful. Then you have some appreciation. That's I think, how I nourish myself in Krishna consciousness. And that's how I'm still, maybe it's a very thin thread that I'm holding all the time. But friends and devotees and spiritual life together is very helpful with feelings. And also Gurudev, one day, there was a problem in his veranda, and one lady crying. It's not that happens always, like ladies crying, but that day the lady was really crying and angry. And he said, you have to be humble and tolerant and offer honor. That was his teachings every day. Then she starts screaming, but I'm being humble, I'm tolerating. It's like screaming her lungs. And Gurudev, then I approached like a gossiper. It wasn't for me, but I want to know what's going on there. Then I get closer and Gurudev started talking to me. Yes, but you were tolerating just by the law. You were following these Mahaprabhu's instructions just by the law or out of the law? How you say that? By the law. Following the law. For you is just a law. Mahaprabhu gave a law and you were following. Then if you follow because it's a law, then you cannot maintain. But if you are humble, tolerant, and you give honor to everyone out of affection, then it will grow for you. There is no end for that. Out of affection.
And we have the last question. It's an online question from Krishna Bhaktadas, a Canadian from Riga. You were saying that taking responsibility will save your Krishna consciousness. How to know when to jump?
It's a call of the heart. Your heart will tell you. Your heart takes you. You go wherever your heart is. That's the truth. So we need, Krishna consciousness is all about heart. We need heart. You can read, you can have all the scriptures. We've seen many people, scholars, and they cannot be Krishna conscious because this is heart. And taking responsibility means, you remember the Mala Didi? You know how Gurudev appreciated her? Because she had some responsibility. Every day she would go and make the garland. That was her service. We need responsible service and dedication. And try to take the burden of your Guru. Try to take some burden. It doesn't matter, if it's small or big, but your attitude is like to do a responsible service. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, he told many times, it's like exercising your muscles. You need some pain. If you want to get some results, you need pain. So sacrifice is some symptom of appreciation. Because I noticed, I was joking this afternoon, it's very easy to become a Haribol society. It's a heavenly society with nice cloth, nice atmosphere, nice functions and what? Aratis and what you call like rituals and many beautiful things, but can become just materialistic. And this is not Krishna consciousness in the sense of the dive deep in, and going further in your spiritual realization. Then, you need to surrender, you need to go to proceed more and more. But the heart will tell you. You put your heart on the table. It's not about money, about qualification. Many times I felt very unqualified. And I revealed that to Srila Govinda Maharaj. And he turned to me and said, where are those people very highly qualified? Meaning many of them they left. Many of them they are still living Krishna consciousness, but many of them. So this is not. That's not necessary. Highly qualified people or this or that. It's everybody, but you need sacrifice and heart. And the time to jump means, your heart will tell you. Your heart will tell you. Because you cannot avoid. There are some examples in the scriptures. And also we heard that from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, we are married with our sanskar. We cannot avoid our sanskar. It's already running in the background. And you cannot change that. You can have some change, but not all. I cannot left being Brazilian. Is that right to say? Leave being Brazilian. I was born in Brazil. In some, in the middle class, in São Paulo, some area, I have that kind of, expressions. If you know Portuguese, you're gonna understand my Portuguese, the way I talk. I was a surfer. I used to surf, so I have all that mood. Still I have a football player. I cannot change that, but it's not necessary to change and to cut a profile that now I became a sadhu. I'm a Brahmin. No, you can have better behavior and everything, no doubt, but you cannot avoid being what you are. This is not the question. I hope it was enough for him. What's his name? Krishna Bhakta.
Krishna Bhakta from Riga.
But after all, your heart will decide and will proceed according to the thirst. And thirst will come through association. Your thirst will increase through association. You get association with people that are healthy, then your hunger and thirst for Krishna consciousness, for spiritual things will increase. Don't move the chair.
How to stay sincere and natural?
Well, staying sincere and natural. Well, what else should I say? This is not something, if I try to be sincere, if I try to fake it, then it's fake. Just be whatever you are. I don't understand the question. Can you repeat?
Stay sincere.
Stay. Being with sincere people. being with sincere people, and being, trying to analyze if you're just pretending or if you're making like cutting a profile or pretending to be someone. When I took sannyas, that was very important in my life. Then I came to Gurudev and I asked him, can I go back to the ashram because Rohini is there, she's my ex-wife. And Gurudev just, he used to open his eyes very big, and he told me, we are not pretenders, Prabhu. Because, this is my family land. I cannot just leave Rohini alone there, I need to help at the service. We are not pretenders. That now I'm pretending I'm a sannyasi, I'm renouncing everything and I'm going house to house, like the time of milking a cow, drinking a glass of milk and I leave. And not being a pretender, we are not pretenders. We are just trying to be honest. We are honest. If I have rice, I will try to serve rice. If I'm hungry, I try to be with the devotees and be fed by them. And just a natural life, but in Krishna consciousness, trying to be healthy in Krishna consciousness, be honest, I agree, like some people, everybody has some crazy stuff in life. We all have some perversion, some craziness going on in the mind, some addictions. Most of people, they are suffering. It's natural. It's very hypocritical. Yeah, hypocritical. That people are trying to, to present themselves as, I just saw one who was like completely out of that. And I didn't saw two. Most of every people, be kind of everyone you meet, because most probably they are suffering. What means, they're suffering out of lust, anger, greed, jealousy, madness, and illusion. We are all suffering, all drowning every day, every second in this environment, And maybe you find someone who is a little out, and maybe you find one in your life who is completely not being affected by any of these material influences. And proceed like faithfully, with chastity, and sincerely, what you were asking for, what you were searching for, what's your aim joining some spiritual group. Is for fame, for girls, for money, for boys. I can admit some people, they have addiction in some drug. But as soon as they start speaking, the drug is helpful for spiritual life. This is all, I can't say, like I will say a nice word, it's all bad. But you understood what I mean, huh? This is all bad, This is now good for spiritual life. Yeah, I smoke ganja, and this is good for spiritual life. Yes. I'll stop here. This is bad. This is not sincere. Sincere means, you have the scriptures, you have the guidance, and you can say, no, I'm not in that standard. I want to be in that standard. I want to follow that standard, but I'm falling so. But if you are sincere, then your guru, the Vaishnavas, they will take your burden. You're going to proceed with a little lighter in your life.
I guess the last question for tonight.
It doesn't need to be the last. I can be on and on here. I'm joking.
But I guess we have limited time on air. Do you have some hope or aim in your spiritual life?
If I have what?
Hope or aim, like a goal.
Well, sometimes I feel hopeless. Most of the time I feel hopeless. But when I'm having good association as I'm having here in Chiang Mai with beautiful devotees, then I get some hope. As soon as I am alone, doesn't matter where, in a taxi, in an airplane, I feel hopeless and I think I'm going down. Then I meet the devotees again, I feel some hope. And that's why, it's Harinama Sankirtana, means, in congregation. And aim, means, try to please your guru. Try to please the devotees, Jivedoya Namaruch Vaishnava Seva. It's very simple. It's very complex and very sophisticated if you are not simple. But if you see in one angle, it's very simple. Jivedoya Namaruchi Vaishnava Seva. Be kind to every living entity. you know, Namaruchi is very high, but Vaishnava Seva is very, very what? Tangible, that's the word. Very tangible. Vaishnava Seva, very tangible. It's every day is possible. Jivedoya, every day is possible. Being humble, tolerant, and offer honor to everybody with affection. This is all possible. So the target is, you know, we have to put a smile in our Gurudeva's face, in our Guru Varga's face. That's the target. You know, we don't need to be a big guy, a big boss, or, you know, just, you know, if they are happy with you, the doors of Vaikuntha, they open for you. You get the divine flow up. You know, what's the current? There is the way Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to say. The current, there is two currents, is that? Currents, one going up, one coming down. When you think you are the master, I'm the master to enjoy. Everything is made for my enjoyment. Even sometimes serving, you can have that mood. Then you get angry, you get lusty. Everything will come to you because you will think you are the master to enjoy, even the service. But when you change, it's just a click, it's like, you know, you just change. I'm the servant, so there is no room for lust, anger, jealousy, nothing will be. They will try to attack you, but if you are in the servant's position, then you get the divine flow up that's taking you out of this mundane environment. You don't have three flows. It's just one flow going up, one flow coming down, according to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And means, you know, I'm the master or I'm the servitor from the divine realm. So our aim is that, you know, making our gurus, our Guru Varga, our Gurudeva happy with us. He will pat us and say, you are a good boy, something like that. He said that. He wants to be like that. Any more questions? So, I want to thank you very much. Like I say every class, you were sitting humbly in front of me to hear what I have to say. And I'm not just saying that out of formality. I really feel that. Because if no one is in front of me to hear me, I have no job. Then you are giving me some opportunity to serve my Guru. And I hope was for some, you all got some nourishment. And I hope, I'm always, when you speak about Krishna consciousness, you know, I know it's very difficult for me to express in English, but I'm feeling happy, and I hope you are all happy. Jai, Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundarji Ki Jai, Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Sarasvat Mat Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Sarasvat Mat Chiang Mai Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Nirmala Vaduta Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhakti Bimal. I said Bhakti Bimal? Yeah, Bhakti Bimal. Jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Haribo.